Good morning, and welcome to another episode of Brewing with Company, the talk show slash podcast, or whatever the hell you want to call it, where a couple of average Joes drink a cup of Joe, talk about pop culture and video games. Today, we are secret hosts. We hide ourselves. We stay hidden. We work in the dark to serve the light.
Indeed. I love it.
Because, my friend, nothing is true.
It's true. Everything.
Everything is permitted.
Oh, chills.
We are the nerdiest SOBs on the planet.
That are highly caffeinated.
Highly caffeinated. I'm on cup number 2. And what are we drinking?
I have the absolute random basic. Dang. I don't even know what it's called. It's like the basic red Colgers. Yeah.
Like some Folgers?
Folgers, that's what it is. Sorry.
I don't know what Colgers is, but
it's early. It's early.
It's the great value version of Folgers.
It's early, all right?
Colgers in your coffee cup.
Oh, no. Nice.
Colgers in your fridge for later.
Oh, dear God.
Today's topic is one that you and I are incredibly passionate about. We are on the heels of Assassin's Creed Red. Or it's still codename Red, right? Like, is Red the official name? Yeah, I don't think it's going to be. I really don't think it's going to be. I think it's just called Red as its code name for now.
Yeah, it should be the code. Yeah. But I think honestly, I think you and I became friends over Assassin's Creed.
I would agree. Like, yeah. I don't remember which one per se. Probably something to do with 2 or Brotherhood.
Right.
To give a little background, when did you get into Assassin's Creed?
I got into Assassin's Creed in right when 2 came out. So I had asked my dad to buy me Assassin's Creed. Right when Brotherhood came out, excuse me. I had asked my dad to buy me Assassin's Creed, and because I knew that there was 2 other entries, and when Brotherhood came out, my friend was telling me I need to play Assassin's Creed because I'm a big history fan, and I had never played the first one at that time. So my dad comes home from GameStop. And he has Assassin's Creed 2. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll just play this one then. And I loved it. So I played Assassin's Creed 2 first. That was my first entry into the series. And then I went back and played Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Then I went back to play Assassin's Creed 1. And then when Revelations came out, I was all caught up. So yeah, that was mine. What about you?
I think a lot of us who are major Assassin's Creed fans started with 2. Because 1, I think you're a little bit older than I am, but yeah. I was, let's see, the first AC is 2007. So I'm like 11 years old. And I did play it, but I played it in like one of those. Do you remember back in the day when like Walmart or GameStop or Target or whatever had the TVs up top, the neck breakers?
Oh, I love those.
Looking up the whole time and playing. I played like the demo of the first Assassin's Creed, but I don't consider that as like my debut to Assassin's Creed. I think AC2 is majority of where we all get in.
Yeah.
I played 2, loved it. Played Brotherhood, got hooked for the remainder of the franchise. Brotherhood was like solidifying me into the Brotherhood.
I still say that Brotherhood is maybe not no more the top, but when the Brotherhood trailer first came out, best trailer I'd ever seen in my entire life. It was so cool. The way he's just walking through that sea of red, and then like when people start noticing him, and then he has his people just take him out, and he just doesn't break his stride at all. The confidence, the assassin of him. I don't know how to say it. He just looks the coolest from that one.
I think, I think Assassin's Creed, and we'll dive into this more obviously, but I think Assassin's Creed has lost its identity since Revelations, of course.
Yeah,
Not necessarily for the all bad. Not necessarily everything about Assassin's Creed is bad, but it's definitely struggled to find out what made it tick during the Renaissance phase. But Brotherhood, I would agree, was it's the peak of Assassin's Creed in terms of the story's good. Ezio is still the best character in Assassin's Creed in my book. Not
I agree.
just overall. I mean, obviously, technology and time has allowed us to play as other characters better. In terms of gameplay, I think Arno is the best assassin to play as in Unity because I think Unity gives the feeling of being an assassin, quote unquote. But Brotherhood, it brought us the Brotherhood mechanic for one. We're over here recruiting assassins, creating the Brotherhood within Rome, and Rome was such a beautiful setting at the time. I mean,
Well,
obviously it's aged, but it's such a good thing. And I'm like you. I don't want to say I'm a history buff. I'm not going to say that because I would probably get schooled by a lot of people. But I took a liking to history, and I still do. I think remembering history is important. And Assassin's Creed, growing up educationally, pushed me in the right direction of history. Like I know a majority of my knowledge about the Renaissance because of AC2 and AC Brotherhood.
one of my favorite things, and I know some people don't really like this part of Assassin's Creed very much, but I love when you bought and like or either bought or found all of the paintings and like the little dialogue boxes next to them, and they would just tell you a little bit about the painting and when it was painted, who painted it, where it hung, or anything like that. I thought those were some of the most interesting parts of the game that a lot of people I think missed.
I loved the codex pages.
Oh yeah,
I loved learning about Monteriggioni, and I loved where like the real Monteriggioni. I
yeah.
loved where learning about Florence, Firenze, and I liked learning about these places and having actual historical landmarks in Assassin's Creed was what made Assassin's Creed, and they still do that. Don't get me wrong. I think
Yeah.
even going up to the most recent Mirage, is Mirage the best Assassin's Creed game? Absolutely not. It's not even like the best video game, but I thoroughly enjoy Mirage because I'm an old school AC fan. It has
Right.
the Brotherhood, it has the Initiation, it has the Hood, it has the Blade, and which I feel like every AC fan thinks it's so funny that we have to say these things
Right.
about Assassin's Creed. Like, oh, it's an Assassin's Creed game with assassins. Can you believe it? It's so
Yeah.
freaking cool. But I think the setting is what really captures Assassin's Creed all the
I
time, which is what brings us to Assassin's Creed Red.
I'm excited for it. I don't know about you. I'm excited for it. Even though Assassin's Creed hasn't had the best reputation in the last few entries, besides I would say probably Mirage. I still haven't played it yet, but I definitely will once I start getting through my backlog of catalog of games. Um, I'm excited for it. I've always loved uh I've always loved pretty much anything that has to do with like feudal era of Japan. Um I don't know. I just think it's gonna be like I just think it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool. What about you? What do you think?
I wasn't excited for it when before Mirage. So like
Mm.
when the Mirage trailer came out during the 15th anniversary thing and we got the first look at Red,
Right.
I wasn't excited because that was when everybody was like, "Oh, Mirage is the game for the OG fans. We're just making them happy real quick, but Red is the RPG." And I wasn't excited because Valhalla pisses me off to no
I
end. I cannot stand Valhalla and Odyssey. Odyssey gets a lot of love. I'm not entirely sure why it gets as much love as it is. Again, opinions are opinions. You're allowed to love the game. But as somebody who has started with Assassin's Creed for a long time
mm,
and is deep into the lore and really, really love the Assassin's Creed franchise, it's not an Assassin's Creed game. Like it's just not, and it drives me nuts. And same thing with Valhalla. So when after Valhalla, I was not excited, but Mirage made me excited because Mirage is like it was more like a love letter to the original, as in the first Assassin's Creed. It's more of a love letter to that, and it's also kind of a hey guys, we're listening. That's how I took it. Now it
Mm.
is Ubisoft. Take that with a grain of salt, but I took it as we're listening. And then a lot of these leaks about Red, about the two characters, one being a shinobi, one being a samurai. I like that. I'm not a huge fan of the two character concept, but we've dove so far deep in Assassin's Creed with that stuff, so it doesn't bother me.
Mm.
And I like the time period. I like that we're back. We're no longer in the hidden ones.
Yeah,
We're ahead of the time period of Altair by I think it's like 250 years or so, give or take.
something all the time. So when we're actually in Assassins, in the
Yes, they're the
Assassins,
Creed. Yeah,
yeah,
it's the Brotherhood.
yeah,
It's not the hidden ones.
yeah. I would. So what I don't want to be, I don't want to be that guy that's like it. Nothing can ever change from when I was a kid or anything like that. But when you when you change so drastically from what made you popular, I think that you have to do it in a way that doesn't take away the identity of your franchise or whatever you're changing or whatnot. And I think that's what like you said earlier, it's an Assassin's Creed game with actual assassins in it. So um that's kind of what really happened with the latest entries, and I just since it's taking place in one of my absolute favorite time periods, I really don't want them to drop the ball and go full on. I mean, I know that they're trying to do the whole RPG thing again, right? But maybe if they bring more Assassin's Creed into it, if that makes sense, then
I
it
agree.
will work better. I don't know if I'm saying it as eloquently as I want to, but yeah.
I would agree. Well, that's what Origins did, in my opinion. I think people have a right to have mixed feelings about Origins, but I will say Origins brought me back to the franchise because after Syndicate, I was kind of done.
Oh,
I was kind of done.
it
I
took.
don't like Syndicate. I know it has its. I feel like every game in Assassin's Creed is like has its own little corner of fans that are like, this is the underrated one. This is the one that people don't love, and they should. And to me, Syndicate just won't bite. It won't bite. I am not a fan of the Fry twins. I think they're terrible characters in terms of the Assassin's Creed franchise.
Mm,
I but I think Red has a great opportunity. These rumors of it being stealth focused with new mechanics. They're talking about bringing a prone mechanic. Um, I'm okay with that as long as it's done, with stealth in mind.
mm,
Similar to like Ghost of Tsushima, where you can like crawl under the buildings and go into low spaces. Um, I'm assuming the tall grass thing is going to be there. That's just the staple of stealth in video games as of this time. But as long as it's not the whole idea,
mm,
then I think it could be fine. And in terms of story, bringing the Creed back is great. Having the Brotherhood back is great. I don't know where it's going to go, but they have a great opportunity to bring social stealth back. They have a great opportunity to bring new stealth mechanics. For what I was rumored that you're going to be able to like take out torches to make it darker, to make the
ooh,
vision cones a little smaller for the AI detection system and stuff like that. And as long as these rumors are there, I think that's to me that's Splinter Cell
all
right there
right.
coming out. That's older stealth in mind. So I like that kind of stuff. It has an opportunity to do great things. There's two things it needs to bring back though.
What's that?
Um Keeping the Brotherhood the main feature of the game. Something Mirage did really well. And two, for the love of God, bring parkour back to Assassin's Creed.
Oh,
it's like the most
I never
annoying feature that
I never understood why you would take that out. It was like a staple. It was like you would back in the gosh, like I said, I hate doing this, but back in the day, you would you would run around like one of my favorite parts of Assassin's Creed 2 is when was when it's like, hey, we need you to get to this point on the map as quickly as possible, and you would just find ways to do so, and the way you ran through all that stuff was amazing, and the way that it got updated for a bit more of the more the the titles that came afterwards, where you're running through trees and stuff. I loved that too, and jumping through buildings and jumping on top of buildings and everything. I thought that was cool. But yeah, bring back parkour. Oh my goodness,
at least an in-depth system.
especially especially if this is going to be in Japan in the feudal time period when you're playing as the ninja,
Well,
right?
it's not feudal Japan.
It's not.
It's quite early. I think it's like 14th century Japan is the rumor. It should be the closer to like Ghost of Tsushima time frame, a little bit after that.
Oh, do you think it's going
Like,
to be compared to Ghost of Tsushima?
of course, it's going to be compared to Ghost of Tsushima. I think every game that's takes place in that setting from this point forward, or at least for a good decade, is going to be compared to Ghost of Tsushima. It's already being compared to that. But I do think because remember when Ghost of Tsushima came out, they kept calling it Assassin's Creed in Japan,
Right. Yeah.
and so or in that time frame, and I think it's going to be compared to Rise of the Ronin was just compared to it like crazy. Any game, it's going to be compared to it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that in terms of its setting. I do, however, think there's something wrong with that if we start talking about gameplay because they're gonna play similarly, but they're also gonna play differently at the same time. I think I have a feeling they're gonna revamp the combat again because something about Assassin's Creed since the parry system is long gone.
Right.
The overkill system. I think they've struggled to find where it needs to be.
Where would you put it if you were in charge of Assassin's Creed?
I think I'm gonna be a hypocrite just now. I think closer to Ghost of Tsushima, that kind of different stances and different things. What I want though is if they're gonna do this two character thing, the shinobi, I would like the ninja, obviously, for people who don't
Right.
necessarily follow this kind of stuff. I think the shinobi should be kind of more embedded into the creed already because like ninja assassin, it fits.
Mhm.
Um, and then the samurai can be the more combat focused. I would like them both to have two different combat styles.
That would make the most sense.
Personally, I would like to get rid of the hitbox that Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla had. I think Origins was fun with it because you can be a little brutal and it was a little spongy, but I would rather see a new combat system. Mirage did a great job of. It's gonna sound weird, but Mirage does a great job of the combat sucking. The combat is terrible.
Mm.
It highly encourages you to hit a couple times, turn around, throw a smoke, find a
Mm.
hiding spot. It encourages the days of old of Assassin's Creed where combat is not your main focus. It's your last resort. So I would like this game to have a combat system that fits well because if I'm going to play as a samurai, as long as the story fits them into the creed, I'm okay with it.
Right.
So
Well,
parkour and combat are two big things that I think need to step it up.
I would I would agree absolutely with that. But you can't have you can't have a good story, in my opinion, without a good character. So how psyched would you be if they made a character as great as Ezio, for example, and they do the next, I don't know, 3 games in this time frame of this character's life and whatnot? Would you want them to kind of do the same thing where where the main character, we see them from birth to death type of thing as Ezio, or would you like, well, what would you like to do? I know what I would like, but I kind of want to know what you think.
I'm going to tell you that that's not going to happen. And here is why. Because Ubisoft had two major opportunities to do exactly that, to keep this franchise going. They've already failed. Since Ezio, this franchise has failed to utilize the sequel to build on its previous characters.
Mhm.
Ezio is the only one that was fleshed out by its sequels. Um, the, a slight swing and a miss, I think, is Arno. I think Arno gets a lot of crap, and rightfully deserved in some areas. He becomes kind of a simp.
Why?
He
Yeah.
becomes
Why?
he becomes a little too Romeo and Juliet. But like in the beginning of Unity, I very much. I mean, the guy even looks a little bit like Ezio. I mean, he looks like French Ezio. So
Yeah.
it's like he had the charisma, he had the flair, and he
He was
had
ready.
the yeah. He was ready to kind of take on that role. I don't think he was going to beat Ezio,
Sure.
but he could. Where I do think Ubisoft absolutely missed was not giving Bayek a sequel after Origins.
Right.
I think Bayek is the only other character in Assassin's Creed that I think had the potential of being the next Ezio. And I think him, both system wise, being the founder of the Hidden Ones, gave a great opportunity for story to develop, as well as ethnically, he's so different than Ezio. He's so far different from an Italian in the Renaissance,
right.
being in ancient Egypt and Siwa and all these things. And Abubakar Salim plays that so well. So I don't think any of that's going to happen. I am actually pretty confident that these two characters are going to be, if they're good, they're just going to be good enough for this story. I don't see Ubisoft taking them and making sequels. It's just
Mhm.
not going to happen because they have not proven to me that they're going to do that. Even with Mirage, Basim is
Mhm.
technically the only character in Assassin's Creed that's had a sequel since Ezio.
Huh. You are right.
Kind of. I mean, we don't
Well,
play as
you
Basim
don't
in
play as
Valhalla,
Hatham.
but
Yeah, you don't play as Hatham. You only play as Hatham that one time, really. I think. Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. Wow. I don't know why I haven't thought about that in a minute. Interesting.
Ubisoft apparently hasn't thought of it either. So
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. There's just something about the culture of Japan that I would think would give great great birth to a great character that could take on that role. I'm a big anime fan, so I know that there absolutely could be someone um who could bring the assassins in the East together, like Ezio did in and whatnot. So maybe not to the same like influential ideal, because I believe Ezio pretty much became the guy, right? So it's not like it wouldn't be exactly the same or anything like that, but like like a a successor, even if it wasn't like a direct successor, but it would be his spiritual successor of the assassins and whatnot. And I would love for that character to come out of this game, because it's time. That's what I think. It's time for someone to take up the mantle to change the franchise in a way that gets not only the OG Assassin's Creed fans excited, but the new fans too excited for a great story. So
I think something that Assassin's Creed fanatics like you and I have, something that we do a lot, is we compare all the characters to Ezio. And it is kind of unfair.
yeah, should we stop that?
Simply, I don't know if we should or shouldn't, because you want to compare to characters of old because you're like, hey, this is the example.
Right.
Ezio is always like, do this again. But it's really easy for consumers of these medias to just be like, do this again.
Mhm.
And having a writer be like, yeah, man, it's a little harder than it's a little harder than that, to
Yeah.
just go, oh, you mean make a fully fleshed character over an 80-year experience and an entire franchise built upon its back? Let me just do that twice. All right, chill out. But it has this. I agree with you. I think Japan is a great setting for Assassin's Creed. That's why it's been sought after by fans for damn near almost 2 decades. Because it'll be 17 years old at the end of this year. Assassin's Creed will be
You're kidding. I don't know.
17 years old. 2007. It'll be
Am I getting that?
17.
Am I getting that old?
We just did the 15th anniversary. It feels like yesterday, but that was 2 years
Oh
ago that shit was announced. So it's 17 years. We requested Egypt as a setting for a long time, and we finally got it. I don't think anybody requested England during the Vikings, but that's fine. I don't know. I mean, I Assassin's Creed, again, like we've said, has lost its identity. Being an Assassin's Creed fan is like being in an abusive relationship.
like being a
It's
Star Wars fan.
you almost want to go back in time and be like, don't play this game, because you're going to fall in love with this game. You're going to then fall in love with the franchise, and then you're just going to keep coming back to the franchise even when it's at its worst, and you're
Right.
going to be like, oh, I can't stand this game that I just put 64 hours into. And you're like, did you play it again? Oh yeah, I had to go find out things again. So
I do have to admit, I know I have complained time and time again, especially in episode 2. I just don't have the time to play the games anymore. But I do admit that I did start playing Assassin's Creed, the Ezio trilogy, not that long ago on my Switch at night. Sometimes you just gotta play. I
it'll
don't know.
do it. It'll do it, man.
I still need to finish other games, but
I don't know
yeah.
if we have nostalgia eyes or what, but I I do it all the time. I on this most recent deployment that we did, I replayed the entire franchise, or what I could up until we got
Right.
back.
Yeah.
Which is essentially like every single game in until Mirage, essentially. If you have a laptop, you can kind of make it happen. Origins makes my laptop a little hot though. But I could play every single one, and I still go back and play the first one, knowing damn well that those mechanics are aged,
Oh, yeah.
but then there are little things about the first one that made it so special in the first place that is so hard to not put down, and you come back to it over and over again, simply just walking in and doing the social stuff. When you have the hood on as Altair, and you go to the prayer and you follow people in prayer, and the monks and stuff, it's so cool. And then, or like as Ezio, when you go back and you just replay that opening sequence when he's like, we live a good life, brother, and you just get
Man,
chills every single time. Yeah, may it never change us. Like those iconic lines, and just to hear it, requiescat in pace over and
you were gonna
over and
say
over
it.
again.
I knew you were gonna say it.
It's so good to go back to those, because there's a reason they were so great. They were well written,
Mhm.
and Darby McDevitt came in later in the franchise and kind of saved it, especially with Black Flag. So it's done great. And Jasper Kidd, come on. They've
Well,
put Ezio's family as the song for Assassin's Creed for the last 17 years. They're
yeah,
like, make it sound Egyptian. You got it. Oh, it's just over and over again.
yeah,
So I love the franchise. I hope that Red is the setting that we all think it's going to be,
yeah.
and that we're all praying it's going to be. I hope it's not plagued by, for lack
Modern.
of a better term, modern RPG mannerisms, I guess.
Yeah,
Um, it's still a Ubisoft game. There's still going to be a little bit of a collectathon. It's probably going to be like collect all the ninja stars of your ancestors or something like that, and let your little sister weep
as
of
long
the
as
death of your grandfather.
it's not 1,000 of them.
Oh my god! You know what? We all know what it's going to be. It's going to be a revenge story, because
Yeah,
that's all.
yeah.
That's all Assassin's Creed's ever do, and I'm going to love every bit of it.
I will love
But
every second of it.
and as long as it's not
Sorry.
100 hours, I don't need 80-hour Valhalla again.
Well, oh yeah, no, yeah. Let's not do that. All right. Well, that is me. Is that you?
I think it's me.
I
Does it
think it's.
look like me?
I mean, I could say it's you, but you know.
Well, you is you. I can tell that.
All right. Well, I'm gonna let you be great. If you let me be great, we can go ahead and end this one.
Well, let's be great.
Alrighty then. This has been Brewing with Company.